Unclear is unkind. The book of boundaries. Set the limits that will set you free. Sechela. Here we are again. You read the book. We have read the book, and today we've come to talk about the stories and the lessons and everything about this book at Brown's Cheese Farm, testing wine and cheese. But can you imagine? Boundaries are the fences, or are the ones that we use to be able to safeguard our hearts, so we can allow ourselves to love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're not easy to set. Yep. So there's boundaries which are not easy to set. There's the sweetness of your compassion and empathy that the world needs, that needs to come out. So we are saying, please let the world taste the sweetness of your heart. Just protect your heart with boundaries, not walls.
Yeah.
I consider that experience like tasting cheese and wine. Cheese is salty, you would expect it's tangy, it's salty. You wait until you taste the limuru cheddar. It's tangy, it's salty. And then you're tasting it with wine. You'd almost think they don't pair.
But they do.
They do pair very well. And they tasty, and that's why we'll come back. Because the last time we were here, and the experience was amazing. And we are back. So I think it's the same experience you have when you have to open your heart, the sweetness of your heart, and yet as well be able to set boundaries and sit with the emotional discomfort of being able to put boundaries around that. So clear is kind.
Clear is kind.
You got this book when we introduced it, you were so excited. Tell me about it. How has been your experience today?
Oh my goodness. I think I'm still experiencing the book.
Okay.
Yeah. When I saw it, I thought it's going to be easy. Like I thought it would dictate the boundaries I need to set.
Yeah.
Because the book is divided into boundaries to do with work, your family, your love life, your food, relationships. I thought it's going to be easy. It's going to tell me.
You emphasize that part. Was that you are?
You wait. So I thought it's going to be an easy read.
Yeah.
But then I got stuck at some point. I think we'll talk about it as we go along.
Okay.
And I think it's been even more challenging to set boundaries for myself and others based on the green, amber, and red that this book talks about.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But it's been an amazing read, and I kept saying, I would ask you, why did you pick this book? Literally, why?
I was about to ask you, so what was your aha moment in the process of reading it? But you will tell me, right? All right. So, there's books that I've picked for the sensuous layer. Our book club is called the sensuous layer. Layer is that beautiful place you sit in to read the book that transforms you, that speaks into you. I believe that some books you don't just read. Some books read you. Some books bring you out, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph. You're like, you just touched me. And now you're just revealing me. So I believe the good books are not just books that we read. Good books are the ones that read you and transform you. So I love transformative books, but mostly being a wellness coach, I thought there could be a fun way in which we heal. We are curious women, women of sensuous woman. We are curious, we are intelligent, and we're always seeking knowledge, and we want to grow. So I remember we sat and we said, how about we just start reading books that transform us, and read the books together so we can be able to share our nuggets and what we pick out. So I thought to myself, let me get books that can be able to take us through our healing journey. But what's that healing journey, right? So knowing women and understanding that I work with women, I know that the hormonal imbalances that we experience are not just about lifestyle. They have something to do with something else, right? So we started with Women Who Run with the Wolves. My goal for that was for women to stop allowing to get boxed, that you're only just one woman, that you're only just a priestess, one enchantress, that for you're just a mother, that for you, that one is a queen, she only is a career woman, that for you just know you're everything, you're all those women. I wanted my women and all the other women to understand that you own all the energies in you and you choose how to use them, but also give them full expression, because without that, the instinctual death is forever going to make you feel like I didn't fully express myself into this world. I don't feel seen, So Women Who Run with the Wolves is to let women understand the feminine archetypes, the feminine energies, what feminine means, what it feels like on the inside. So then they home to that. They go back and tap into it, which is what Clarissa Pinkola talks about.
Yeah.
Now, from that, then we went to
Atlas of the Heart.
Atlas of the Heart.
Yeah.
Because you see, feminine energy resides in the heart and the womb. So I wanted them to tap into that one place, because you know what sits into the hearts of most women is manipulation. Where there's empathy, it's toxic empathy. Where there's supposed to be compassion, it's just manipulation and competition. Where there's supposed to be collaboration, is they're competing against each other and there's a sister wound around. Where there's supposed to be intuition, they just quick thinking and thinking with their heads, and they are disconnected from their inner wisdom. So I wanted them to connect with their heart and understand the language of emotions, because they're emotive, fine, but because of the wounding that we have, we're not able to give the right language to what we feel.
Correct.
So we tell ourselves, but I felt like that. How do we know it wasn't a trigger? How do we know the intensity of your disappointment is not because of the other people who have disappointed you, not me who has done this one thing right now? So I wanted them to learn the language of emotions, and that did the parts.
And then came the super book by Oprah and Dr. Bruce.
And then we went to What Happened to You. So you see, they create a lot of disconnection. They connect with people. They say, I want to form meaningful relationships. During, for me, I'm in that era where I don't want mediocrity. I don't want people who don't know how to sit with discomfort. And I'm like, but what about you? You really do you know how to create meaningful relationships? So I realized that for us to be able to delve into creating and building meaningful relationships, we need to understand, where did the disconnection happen?
Correct.
Where did the mess happen? What happened to us? What happened to us that we show up in relationships triggered, toxic, with attachment wounding? So when we understand what happened to us, we hold space for each other.
Yeah.
We have more grace and more compassion to self. You know, we get to understand that I didn't cause that, but it's my responsibility to heal this, so I can be able to start forming meaningful relationships.
And we give the tools for how to deal with what happened to you.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. And then after that
came the book of boundaries.
The book of boundaries. The book of boundaries, my major goal. Because, you know, when we learn what happened to us, there are things we get to realize that in as much as most women didn't experience adverse childhood experiences, but they experienced emotional neglect. Like our parents did their best, but there are some needs that were not met. That made us adapt in different ways, that made us learn how to survive. And we're still surviving. We are adults, we are children in adult bodies, and we don't want that. We want to deal with it. Now, when I get to look at the missed childhood experiences, when I get to look at, okay, so you didn't feel connected well with your caretakers, you didn't feel seen, you didn't feel validated, you didn't feel heard. How did you adapt to that?
And how is it affecting your relationships with others today?
Exactly. Yeah. So we have more codependent women than we do have interdependent women. So we have more codependence. We don't have interdependence. Relationships require interdependence. So they're either hyper-independent or they are codependent. And so one of the biggest things or skills that most women lack is the skill to set boundaries. It's the skill to stop people pleasing, because out of the codependence, they are people pleasers, and it's instant. And society makes it look like that's what makes you a good wife. That's what makes you. You know, when you are too much of a good mother, when you are over caretaking, when you too responsible, you're taking care of all your siblings, your parents, yourself, your spouse, your children. That's what makes you a strong woman. You know,
and it even goes to the workplace.
It goes to the workplace. You're not able to take support. You're not able to ask for support. You're not able to allow people to take care of you. You can't take compliments. You can't celebrate yourself. You know what's going on. And so I realized that there's some skills we didn't pick out on. And you know how we are showing up in relationships? With emotional dishonesty.
Oh, wow. That's a new term.
Emotional dishonesty is me asking you, Chila, how are you? I'm okay.
That's it.
That's it. Yet the truth is, I'm actually not okay with the way you made some snide remarks about me yesterday at work or when we're having coffee with other people. And I feel that is going to affect how I show up with you going forward. So you become dishonest. You're not authentic. And you're just keeping the peace. You're just keeping our relationship, but it's not going to stay the same. So the emotional dishonesty, when people come to overcare for you, yet they don't have the energy to take care of you, only later to use it against you and tell you, with all the things I do for her, with the way I show up for my friends, me when it's my friends' birthdays, the way I show up, did they ask you? Do you really know what their needs are?
Are you meeting
their needs? Or you're trying to project or you're trying to manipulate them into connecting with you? The emotional dishonesty of for me, like the biggest part of this book is, like the circle. You remember the circle, like if I'm going through an experience, I'm in the inner circle, right? And then my most immediate people are in the inner circle with me, like my son and my partner. But then my friends and other people are in the outer circles. So grief moves outward, compassion moves inward. Now, with majority of people who are dishonest, they want to come and cry more than you cry. And so emotional dishonesty is when women overperform or people overperform, and yet they don't have the capacity to do it. And they don't know how to set boundaries to what they can give.
So that was your biggest moment in the book.
No, also the biggest reason and the biggest thing that needs to be able to help women heal burnout, over responsibility, heal them from people pleasing, from being toxic empaths, right? It's just being honest to themselves. Yes, you understand, or you can feel what I'm feeling, but if you don't have the energy to deal with it, don't say yes. Doing, I'll be there for you. No, don't. Simply tell me, I understand you're not feeling well, but I am at my emotional limit. I'm not able to help you. I'm hoping somebody else will walk in and take care of you. That's more honest than sticking around and complaining and doing things for me, and you're complaining. The dishonesty is too much around women, and it doesn't build authentic relationships. Okay? So that was the biggest reason for women to be able to learn to show up authentically and to be able to not over-explain themselves. To know how to feel for other people, to feel for themselves first. So now tell me, what was your aha moment?
Oh wow. You started by saying clear is kind. I think that has been written so many times in the beginning of the book. And I kept asking myself, am I clear in my communication, especially when I'm setting boundaries? And for me, it's at work. That was my chapter, literally. That's where I paused for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Because you find yourself in ethical dilemmas. Let me call it that. And then you're very not clear. Like, for example, for me, I was very unclear in my communication, especially with colleagues. For example, someone would say, can we go out for a drink? I say no in my head. No. And I know this is trouble. I can see it and I want to run. But I'll say, okay, fine, maybe we can go for one now. And then what spirals after that is just you set yourself up for something you did not want in the long run. So I've always now asked myself, anytime we have a conversation, be it professional, be it just friendly, am I clear in what I'm saying? Am I confusing this person? And especially for us as women, go back to us as women in the corporate space, it's very easy for you to cross boundaries if you don't even have them in the first place. You'll find yourself letting people in spaces where they should not be. And then that comes and impacts and affects your professional work. So I've really learned to hold space for myself and set boundaries. And say, this is professional. You can't take me out. No. You can't buy me wine. No. No. And no is actually a complete,
at work it's complete, so you don't have to explain it.
You don't have to explain it. My no is no. So that's what has been really progressive for me when this book is concerned.
It gave you power, it gave you the language, it gave you the word.
It's really more of power.
More power.
And it's so funny because when you see people's reactions when you say no, It's like, how are you telling me no?
Yeah.
I know.
In workplace, boundaries are the hardest to set.
The hardest because you find yourself people pleasing, trying to be the nice girl.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't work for you in the long run.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't even help the productivity of the company. It doesn't help the company.
Yeah.
You know, you keep fearing that that's my boss.
Yeah.
I need this job.
Will lie. Exactly.
Yeah. I need this job. I can't lose it. You know, I can do that. I can pick calls on holiday. I can extend work hours. Before you know it, now you have more diseases later for the company to deal with.
Yep.
You have adrenal fatigue. You're not being productive at work simply because you had all those fears.
Yeah. I actually read a story, funny enough, last week of a lady who apparently died while in the office and only discovered after 4 days.
No ways.
And you can imagine she was toiling for this company, giving her everything. But they didn't figure.
Imagine. Yeah. They didn't even notice she was missing for 1 day.
Exactly. And it went up to 4 days.
4 days.
You can imagine.
No one even cared.
Yeah.
Like that extra you're putting in, no one cares. Everybody's out there for, you know, what matters for bottom line is you being fine, you being able to, you know, show up authentically and being able to clearly state what works, what's possible and what's not possible.
Yeah.
Interesting. So looking at the different type of boundaries, she was so clear. She said there's so many of them, but she tackled the ones that she finds are key, you know, setting boundaries in relationships, setting boundaries at work, personal boundaries. I think that one was really big and interesting how she brought it out. Yeah. Which area do you think women still have a long way in understanding?
Interesting. Maybe a bit sensitive, but I'd say the chapter on sexual boundaries.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it, and if I can relate it to my workspace.
Yeah.
I find it the biggest area where women are finding it hard to set boundaries. Why? Being in the legal profession, you'll find even a lady who's married will come and say, I have a case, my husband raped me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And be the safest place on earth.
Be the safest place, right?
Yeah.
But you'll see that it's easier if you set boundaries earlier.
Yeah.
Right? Even before you get, for example, into a relationship, into marriage, etc. It's easier for you to set boundaries earlier because they save your life, literally. Yeah. So they're finding it harder in that space already because they did not communicate or set boundaries earlier.
That's the thing. Most people set boundaries when it's an emergency.
Correct.
And so they set boundaries that are electric fence, that are going to create a lot of conflict, that are going to escalate situations. And it's indeed true. It brings us to the same reason why I think women and marginalized people and children struggle at setting boundaries. But let's look at women mostly.
Yeah.
She talks about the patriarchal society, the conditioning of how women are supposed to just say yes. They're supposed to take care of people. They're supposed to be responsible. They're supposed to be both, they're supposed to take care of chores at home. They're supposed to be willing to give in. They're supposed to. Coincidentally, women's nervous systems have been primed to fawn.
More of women conditioned.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like in the process of them being people pleasers, the nervous system state is to please, to instantly please. So what happens is most men will tell women don't know what they want. You know, you ask her, do you want me to lay you tonight? She doesn't say. Then you touch her, she's interested. Women don't understand what they want. You know, they have so many reasons why they get to say something like that. They're indecisive. They are not able to clearly state their needs. And that's true. Yeah. In the process of women being living lives for others, you know, like they had to forfeit their own needs, they had to forego their own needs, and they had to learn how to take care of their caretakers, they had to learn how to take care of men, they had to learn how to take care of brothers, they had to learn how to take care of other people's needs.
Every other person of
Meaning, they struggle to identify their own needs. So you'll find the woman is more reactive. She's like, why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me? So he asks her, so what do you want? Like, she's not able to say, I need you to ask me if it's okay for me to have sex tonight. You know, she's not able to clarify her needs, to even voice it, so they lose their voice. And for me, what I see the biggest challenge is that there's a fawning that is still going on. Even you find intelligent women, educated women, they fawn. Like they're not able to express themselves. They're not able to. I ask them, so what are your needs in a relationship? Me, I want a man who loves me. I get that a lot.
Like, that's it.
How ambiguous is that? Me, I just need a man who, you know what, Doreen, and I can see the needs are in their face, in their eyes. You know what, Doreen? I just need a man. They're acting it out. And that's so bad, And then so you ask her, so what are your sexual desires? Doreen, it's so hard to tell a man what you want. So you want me to tell him that I would want this and that. I let him do me. What he does is what I'm able to go with. You see.
So what if you don't like?
Exactly. So they have let women's desirability has been left to the men. That if he desires me, then I'm in for it. And so he gets to know that until I start something, she's not going to start something. And so the rape cases, the lack of consent, they don't even know.
Emotional abuse.
Exactly. They don't understand what consent means. They don't understand that I have a right to saying no even after I said yes. I have a right. When I groan, it doesn't mean that I'm enjoying. Sometimes I groan and that's painful. Like they've not been taught consent, but it comes from the fawning. I call it sexual fawning. Like when they feel they are going to be abused, instantly they please the abuser so that this moment can pass and then I can move on to something else. Until it becomes too much, and then she comes to you and she tells you, my husband rapes me. It's not one time. She's felt raped most of the time. And she's raped because of some of those issues. She can't express herself. She's not able to articulate her needs and desires. She's not able to put boundaries that protect her. She has to think, but now if I tell him I don't want this, he's my husband, he's not going to feel good. She has to think about his needs and not her needs, And it's getting ugly. I'll tell you something for a fact. The first time I came across boundaries was when I went for my first sex therapy. First time, that was 24, and one of the things I'm being taught, you need to have sexual boundaries. And I'm like, what?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? And I'm being told you need to learn your body and you need to be able to know how you feel. So you can be able to call in what you desire. Because if you don't learn your body or about your body, anything will be done to you. And you will acknowledge it as good. And you're not even able to say, I think I prefer the other, because you don't know what the other is. Guess what, Sheila? The day I started, because I had to write down my sexual values. Like, what are your sexual values? Like what? They're even sexual values. I need to be able to know what do I value. How do I value intimacy, physical intimacy, emotional intimacy? Like what are the things that I value and what are the pet peeves, brother? What are the deal breakers and how do I set boundaries around them before, like you said, before it becomes an emergency.
Correct.
Right? I didn't know. I got to realize that I also used to fawn. She's not orgasming, but she's going to fake it. What's happening? What's happening? Like literally that whole moment, you've forgotten you have needs and you're going to move your body pretending. You're going to use your voice pretending. That's unclear. That's unkind.
It's very unkind.
That's inauthentic.
But I'm sure in your sessions with most women, that's what happens.
That's what happens. I used to do that as well. I had been taught how to fake it. I had been told. It's not like even my body came up with a faking mechanism. No. We had a session where we taught how to fake it, how to hold men, how to touch them so they can be able to orgasm. Like we had been taught how. That's when my sexual wellness journey began with, I want women to own their pleasure. I want women to first know what it feels like to feel, own it and set boundaries to it. I remember my nipples used to be stimulated badly and it used to cause me a lot of pain, but I used to swallow it. I would swallow it and I'm like, it's about to go. So my body language would be go somewhere else, meaning I'm not even able to have enough good foreplay. So the whole sexual experience is contain it until he's done with it. And what's that?
That's fawning.
That's fawning. And imagine so many women go through so many years of that, then they get used to that and they consider that as pleasure. Because when you get used to pain, it becomes your only experience.
Wow.
Just imagine.
Yeah.
When I went into my first relationship after that therapy, let me tell you, the first thing I did was, one, you do not touch my nipples. If you do not know how to touch these other parts. And then, you know what I told myself? Consequence is because men are stubborn in a sense of they don't know how to respect, because also men don't know how to respect women's boundaries.
That's true.
Most men, right?
Yeah.
So I had consequences for pushback. If I mention this and it happens, I even imagined what I will do. I stand up, go grab a glass of wine, watch TV. I said, you don't get to touch my nipples like that. I mentioned it.
You did this?
I did.
How was that received?
He was in shock. Like, you stop our whole session and you don't even care. You just go and grab a glass of wine. Like, I need to make this point clear because next time I'll get out of the door. You have to learn how to touch me the way I want to be touched. And there were so many others that I brought out as well. That this orgasm matters to me. You're giving me the one that you think matters to me.
Yeah.
This one is the one that matters to me. Should you be interested in how I feel, this is the route we shall go. And that was also debated.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Don't you think at times when I was reading this book, especially still on sexual boundaries, I sort of felt like it's a negative balance because we're doing all the work as women.
Yeah. What do you mean?
We are learning how to set boundaries. We are healing our childhood wounds, our mother wounds, or any other sort of issues that happens to women. But the men are not putting in the work. They're not probably understanding. They'll think, oh, maybe Doreen is in her phase of reading books, going for book reviews, etc. Such that when you come and say, okay, don't touch me in a certain way, someone might say, okay, so what's happening to you? I've always touched you this way. But maybe it's because you have finally found your voice. And you're saying, this is now it. Because you can adjust your boundaries. It's okay to change your mind. So what are we doing? How do you handle that?
One. First of all, you're not, like the book tells you, you're not responsible for people's experience or emotional experience of you setting your boundary. So you have to take the freedom of, I've just found this now, I've just gotten the language for it, because the book teaches you compassion in your setting your boundaries. So I didn't just stand up and say, you touch my nipples badly, I'll go away. We had to have a conversation about it. We both discussed what are your sexual values. We both discussed what are your deal breakers. We both discussed what turns you off. I am aware of you. You fail to be aware of me. I think of now from the green boundary, rather from the yellow boundary, I can go to green,
and then red.
Then I can go to red. I have to know how to go to red, right? I need to be able to know my consequences and think about pushback. Now, number two, I know we are saying this a lot, men are not doing the work. If we set boundaries clearly with consequences, women need to be able to also stop enabling and tolerating. So you're in a relationship and you realize that actually I'm not enjoying this relationship because I've not been able to clearly state my needs and my boundaries. Now, when I state them, I'm not responsible for how he's going to take them. I wish he can take them. So I will expect pushback, right? And I'll still be compassionate through it. And I will ask that you give it a thought. So if your partner is not the kind that is interested in growth, he's not the kind that you will tell, I read about this and honestly, the book just gave me words to what I was feeling and experiencing. It's not like it taught me something that is giving me, like it's giving me wings, right? So it's up to you to choose. If I'm with a partner who is not interested in learning this skill, because the boundary skill is like a sport and it's needed in relationships. It's a skill we didn't learn. Maybe my partner also has childhood trauma. And he's also been a product of the patriarchy that has taught him not to listen to what women need, right? And he's awakening. I'm not the one who's going to do it. No, he's going to do his work as well. They know what they have to do there. If he also needs to look out for men's conferences. I would like to see him go for the church retreat. I'd like to see him, pick a book and read it as well. I'd like to see somebody as well read to improve himself so he can be better for me and for me. If I'm the kind that values that, I need to ask myself, does this relationship still work for me? is it still serving me? Is it still possible for me to stay in a relationship where I know the truth is we need this skill, but I have a partner who is not growing with me?
Yeah.
So then you choose. If you choose to stay, please stay peacefully. Don't come every time we are meeting, you're like, Doreen, my husband, the problem with my husband. Either you walk or you stand. If you choose to stay peacefully. Please. Don't be an emotional vampire. Those women who each time you're
energy leakage. The book talks about energy leakage.
Yeah, they're just leaking energy. Yeah. She's not able to do something about her situation.
She keeps repeating the same thing over and over.
And you give her advice.
Yeah.
And you sit nicely and you tell her. Then she doesn't apply your advice. Then next time he does the same thing. My husband, when he does these things, I'm like, I also set a boundary to something like that. Yeah. So pretty much that's what it is. What boundary statement hit you off? Like, this one I'm going to use.
Clear is kind. I think that's resounding for me. Clear is kind. Yeah. Like when I practiced one boundary that I set a few weeks back.
Yeah.
It came so naturally to me when there was pushback.
Yeah.
I asked the person, was I clear? It was so natural.
Yeah.
And they said, you were clear.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And unclear is unkind. I find in business especially, so many people are unclear. So people come around you, they're not able to tell you, I will support you. They're not telling you, I will not support you.
They're just free.
They're not living.
Yeah.
So you get to make plans and you're thinking this person is in and they're not in. And that really is very disparaging. Like it's not comfortable,
Yeah.
Unclear really is. But for me, it was the part of, I don't talk about food around food, unless of course it's to complement the share.
It had to be food.
It had, because now, being a wellness coach, having started with teaching people how to change their attitude towards food, and also having looked at how people have emotional trauma around food, and looking at how people struggle setting boundaries, and also going to people's homes and they force me to take things milk.
Yeah.
They force me to take gluten. And up to now, you still go to people's homes, they're like, Doreen, it's just today, eat chapati. The bread chapati. The rolling that happens in my tummy, the bubbles that happen in my tummy, you don't know.
Yeah.
So I've come to visit you and I want to be happy. But you want me to eat something that makes me unhappy. So really, do you want an unhappy person? It still goes on. So for me, boundaries around food are still the kept secret, the unsaid. People still struggle with them a lot.
Yeah.
They hide their juices, they hide their adaptogens, they remove labels from their healthy products. They do.
People do that.
Yes, because they are put their owners are going
the
to.
difference is maybe if you come to my house, what I would imagine you face is that I would get offended if I make you nice chapatis and you say, I don't eat gluten. I would expect that to be the pushback that you get.
No, there's pushback of, so which cult are you in now?
Okay.
People give that. Yeah, at work. She goes with her 3 bottles of juice. And people say, hey, which cult is that now? So now it's,
that's very heavy.
They do. They use that. Yeah, they use that. And they're like, I'm so uncomfortable. I want to enjoy my new life. But then at home, husbands as well are not kind to most of the women when they're starting a new lifestyle. Yeah. And if she goes to the gym, so now why are you dressed like that? They start getting insecure about it. If she starts eating a different way, he's thinking different things. But I've had women come to tell me that, my husband is telling me that those diets don't work. And then she's asking, so what works? Because I'm feeling uncomfortable with.
But they don't have a solution.
They don't have a solution, but they're bashing what you come up with. So boundaries around food are still like a much needed conversation. Yeah. So what's your parting shot when it comes to the book of boundaries?
Oh, interesting. My parting shot would be, don't be afraid to set boundaries, because in the long run, they save your life. For real.
Yeah, they do.
There's a line in here that says boundaries can actually save your life.
They would.
Yeah, so that's my parting shot. Yeah, because most of us, even I, speaking for myself, I'm afraid of the consequence of setting a boundary. Will I lose a relationship with this person, be it platonic or a romantic relationship? The consequence is what makes us fear to set boundaries.
Yeah.
So my parting shot would be, don't fear setting boundaries. They can save your life.
Yeah. Wow.
Literally.
Well, that's nice. For me, again, is to remind women that we need to stop placing relationships on a pedestal. we are also socialized to value relationships more than anything.
Correct.
So the reason why we struggle to set boundaries is because we don't want to be alone. We want to belong all the time.
Yeah.
And yet, actually, sometimes alone is where the real belonging is. So I want women to risk it, to set boundaries, even if it means being alone, like staying alone. Only to realize that's a true homing. Only to realize that actually she needed herself so that she can be able to call in the right relationships. So women need to be able to first remove relationships from a pedestal and set limits that will set them free so that they stop the burnout, the adrenal fatigue, the tiredness is from the capacity, the poor skill in setting boundaries. You know, people do not understand the emotional benefits of setting boundaries.
Yeah.
They don't understand the physical benefits of setting boundaries. They think that, okay, yes, fine, I'm a people pleaser. They don't know that is putting them into fight mode, but fawning mostly, which has a direct effect on their bodies, you know? So if we are going to really heal from the burnout that we are talking about, let's now go deep into this book and look at boundary by boundary, get the method for setting boundaries. And the thing is, we don't need to wait for emergencies to set boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, me, nimeshindwa, like this is too much, I'm out. You know, like this, I have tolerated too much. Then that's when now she starts being violent. That's when she has to start being critical and reactive. You know, we are called reactive and dramatic because we are not setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And so ideally, we also need to know that boundaries are not walls. You know, they are just fences. If we set them with compassion, compassion means if you just sense a trigger, set a boundary. Don't wait for when it's a lot. Because when you wait and it's a lot, you're going to be reactive. You're going to be critical. You're going to be blaming. You're going to be threatening to leave. You're going to just be careless. Yeah, you're going to be reactive. So learn how to set boundaries when it's still soft enough for you to be compassionate, for you to be kind, for you to set them in your green space, not for you to set them in your red space. So that you look like, for you, when you set a boundary, it's an electric fence, that whoever touches it gets shocked. You should set a boundary so that everyone who sees you simply says, I shall be treated sacredly. Thank you. Thank you for choosing this book. I'm glad.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the next read? I think I know. You do?
Yeah.
So this for us. This is now on you.
It's on me. Remember, I unwrapped the wrong book, so I know the next read. I don't know if I remember.
So it's the end of the year. Let's not give people a book that's going to make them think a lot. Now they want to party and something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like we did not finish certain books, and women wanted to go back and revisit those books. Don't you think it would be a good idea to just now choose a day, sit with most of these books and talk about
all the books we've read?
Yes, all the books that we've read, but also use these last months of the year to pick out a book that you didn't finish at a certain time, or you didn't really experience it as fully as you should have, so that now you can come and then ask the women to be the reviewers, so that it's not me.
Yeah.
You know, everybody becomes like a master with one of the books, and then they're able to walk us through a book. What do you think about that?
It's a perfect idea.
Perfect one?
Yeah.
So see you around again. I love your dress. I love the way you blocked the blue, the red, the pink.
Thank you very much.
You're always very stylish.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure reading with you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure too.
Okay.